Deep freezes that we had this winter are taking a toll on our citrus. We've been telling you not to cut anything back, but our 5-minute gardener, Debbie Mount, says get those pruning shears out now. Now is finally the time.
Okay, good afternoon. Well, this town looks like it's been through a serious freeze devastation, which of course we know it has. Now, one of the #1 call that we're getting in the nursery right now is about people's citrus. They're really worried about the citrus. We all love our fruit and we're worried about our trees. So I'm going to give you some information that's going to help you let that tree recover. Now here you can see we have a prime specimen of one that got frozen, and it looks really, really bad. However, I know that this tree is going to come back. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come along. I'm going to give you some tips. We're going to come along and we're going to take all of the fruit off of this tree. The fruit is no longer good. You may already know that your fruit is not good, but it's all starting to turn to sugar. It's just really bad. You do not want the tree holding on, putting any energy into holding on fruit that is not good anyway. So take all of the fruit off. Now the next thing we're going to do, we're going to determine exactly how much of the tree got frozen. And the way that you can do that, there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can go on the ends of the branches. That's where most of your freeze is going to be. You can go on the end of the branches, and if the end of the branch snaps, you know for sure that has dried up entirely and there's freeze damage there. So then you can keep snapping until you get back to where the branch is pliable. These branches, actually, there is very little freeze damage on the ends of these. So that tells me that this little tree is going to recover. Now let's assume that on this branch, for instance, that all this part of this branch was totally frozen. So now it's that time of the year when I'm going to come along and I'm going to trim this little tree back. And I'm going to go back to where it's green, where I see that there's green, and I'm going to cut all of the frozen parts off. Now the other thing I want to let you know is leave the leaves on. They're going to start to fall off on their own, but they're still protecting whatever is green on that little tree. Okay, so cut it back now down to the green, leave the leaves on, and pull your fruit off. All righty, good luck to you.
All right, and Debbie joins us now. Okay, and then what?
and now what? Now what's starting to happen, and even that little tree in the nursery, we filmed that a couple weeks ago, has dropped almost all of those leaves and is pushing out new little tiny green leaves. But now what you want to do, because the tree has totally defoliated, that is exposing all of those branches to sunburning. And you'll drive around town sometime and you'll see trunks of citrus trees that are painted white. Right. That's because of sunburning, especially on young trees. When the canopy isn't big enough to shade the trunk of the tree, they paint it white.
What's the problem if the trunk gets sunburned?
The sunburning can actually start a process of basically rotting. You'll actually get oozing and thing from sunburning. Ew. It's kind of like us, you know. It's not a good thing. So what you can do?
Does that affect the fruit?
Well, certainly. Well, it affects. The tree's not going to produce any fruit if it's sick. If you have a diseased tree, it will not produce any fruit. So what you can do, there's two things you can do. You can buy a tree wrap. It's kind of like an ace bandage. It's kind of like a light ace bandage. You can just wrap the entire trunk and come out on the major limbs of the tree also. It's just a temporary thing until the tree leaves back out and gives you enough canopy to shade those branches and shade that trunk again.
Okay.
The other thing you can do is there's latex paint. You can use beige or white.
But which is better, the paint or the wrap?
Probably 6 of one, half dozen of the other, whichever is easier for you to do. The paint, you can mix it half exterior latex flat paint and half water, and just paint the trunk and paint the limbs.
So you don't have to worry about those chemicals of a regular paint bothering the tree at all?
No.
What about all the other things, like the mesquite trees? Everything was so crispy.
Yeah, well, the mesquite trees just totally, what they did is when trees are stressed for water or whatever, for cold, they can't support all those leaves, so they throw them off. They just get rid of them, and that's what the mesquites have done. But they're already starting to leaf back out. It was a very brief period of time. You see this total carpet of green underneath the mesquites, which we are not used to.
Yeah.
But they are absolutely starting to come back.
Well, not at my house, but you say hang on.
They will. They will.
All
Be
right.
patient. That's the most important thing.
Okay. Thank you, Debbie,
You're
as
very
always,
welcome.
for coming on.